So we are 3 weeks into the January transfer window, just about a week left really. Not really much action for Conte. Are you surprised? You've got an elite manager, like you should be backing him.
It frustrates me. So Antonio Conte's come in. He's obviously been promised a certain amount of funds or some players to come in. So the 1st of January goes, we're now 3 weeks into January. They've had 3 games, 4 games, whatever it may be. We come to the end of January, the manager might have had 6 games through January with players that he actually doesn't want. He wants his own players coming in. We know January is a difficult month to do business. We know that Spurs notoriously do their business to try and get the best deals. But if you want to improve and you want to compete, why not have those players ready in the first week of January? Arm your manager with the players that he wants for three and a half weeks of January. Give the team 6 games with the players that the manager wants.
Yeah, because if you don't back him now, by the end of the season, if the board is thinking, oh, okay, maybe summer is a better time to do business. By the summertime, I mean, Spurs could very well be out of Europe, and there's less attraction for players to come to Spurs when they. And who knows? Maybe Conte on a short-term contract. I think 18 months was his contract, wasn't it? He might walk in the summer if he's not back now.
Yeah, I mean, he might walk in January. We have to think that, because certainly you have to look at recent history with Daniel Levy and how he treats his managers. You know, Jose Mourinho, I think they dropped the ball there, because you had a great manager in charge there. You didn't give him the players you want. It ended in tears. Now, don't make the same mistake again. You've got a great manager. He come to your club. You know, in all respects to Tottenham, Antonio Conte's managed Inter Milan. You know, he's been in and around the greats of European football. Now, you have to back him. Robbo's right. And I just hope there's something in writing where Antonio Conte has to sign off on any player coming through the door. If you give Antonio Conte the players he wants and the ability to rubber stamp, I want that player because he's going to play this role for me and I can coach him, then they've got a chance. If they don't do that, he might as well leave in February the 1st and go and find a new project, because that's the only way this club are going to go from this level to that level.
Listen, the performance today was poor. The performance wasn't there today. But you look at the league table, look at the games in hand. Games in hand mean nothing. We know that. But that 4th spot, West Ham are going to be competing in Europe. They've got the Europa League coming back in.
Yeah.
You know, Arsenal, they're not on the level they want to be at. Manchester United are too inconsistent. Tottenham, yes, they're in a transitional period. The manager wants, he needs players. They've got a real opportunity to finish 4th this season with the squad that they've got, with the players they've got. The teams that I've mentioned, nobody's making a real drive for that 4th place. Nobody's going to break the top 3. That isn't changing. And we've seen on Chelsea's performance today, they can turn it on again. Spurs could finish 4th this season, realistically.
But, I mean, Conte made no secret about how frustrated he is with the lack of signing so far this January. Do you think that he will walk if he isn't backed?
I don't think he'll walk in January, no. I don't think he would. I think he's a very strong-willed man and a strong-willed manager of his own beliefs, and I don't think he would have taken the job without certain guarantees. I think we will see transfer activity in January. I think we will see players come in. Whether it's the amount of players that he wants, time will tell, will yet to be seen. I think the summer is the key time for him. If he brings the players that he wants in January, and then he's able to have a free run at it in the summer, completely overhaul the squad, bring in the players that he wants. If he feels that he's not been backed by the end of the summer, then that's a conversation that will probably be had.
So who then in this Spurs side do you think actually fits into Conte's system that can actually play to that level of Conte?
I think Bergwijn stepped up in recent weeks. I think Harry Kane certainly has. Back to the discussion that we had. You look at the Chelsea team, Bergwijn and Harry Kane would possibly, they'd make a case for a starting place in the Chelsea team. I mean, what do you think? You look at Spurs midfield, the midfield 3. You wouldn't take any of them, would you?
No, I wouldn't. I don't think they're the players. Ollie Skip, because he's got time on his side, could develop into that player. Yeah. But the other midfielders, I don't think are going to be able to take you onto that next level. At the back, I think that's where the real work needs to be done. Conte's teams are built on strong defence, rigid, good experience, well trained, well coached players. So I think you're okay with the front area of the pitch. I think from midfield and back, you need to start really. I'm pleased Hugo Lloris has signed another 2 years, because at least you've got one part of the jigsaw. He's a good goalkeeper. Yeah. You know he's got a safe pair of hands, so he can be there, and then they can build around it. But that's the only positive thing in terms of contracts and signing players, is that Hugo Lloris is sticking around, because he still might have another move in him. He's France's number 1. Anything can happen. So,
goalkeepers typically have a longer lifespan.
The back 3 is not good enough. He's completely right. The 3 players that played at the back today, Sanchez, Dyer, and Ben Davies. None of them, neither of them, play as a top class centre half. Eric Dyer doesn't play in midfield because he's not quite at that level. He plays in the middle of a back three because he's got protection either side of him. Romero's the best defender that Spurs have got, and he's injured and you can't keep him on the pitch. That area is something that he's got to look at in January. They need to sign central defenders.
They still haven't signed a backup striker for Harry Kane as well, and that's been a conversation for years now. They can't seem to find anyone.
They haven't done it since Vinicius left the year before. I mean, he came in. Listen, it's a hard sell. You know, you go into the transfer market, you tell a striker he can play when Harry Kane doesn't. I mean, it's not an attractive proposition.
You need your hybrid player. You need someone like Bergwijn who's sort of taken up that role, who can play off the left or off the right, play with Harry, and can also do a good enough job as a number 9. So it is hard recruitment.
Yeah.
But it's not hard to go and find yourself 3 good centre halves out the world, and 2 young, exciting midfielders who can feed Harry Kane. That can be done.
I think it's been said in the reports, again, this isn't confirmed news whatsoever that it's going to happen, but I think Jonathan David, the Lille striker, has been in the talks for Spurs, or rather Spurs have been interested in him as a young player. Maybe he wouldn't mind playing second fiddle to Harry Kane.
Yeah, listen, that's the type of player that you can bring into the squad for that reason. But they've got much more pressing matters than that. They've got to sign 2 centre-halves and they need at least 1 or 2 midfielders. That's what he needs to have an instant impact.
What about a right wing-back, you think?
Well, all of a sudden, Doherty stepped up to the plate in the last couple of games. Emerson Royale's been playing there, and he hasn't been at a level. He's more of a right-back, in my opinion, is Emerson Royale. Doherty seems to have realised, I'm a right wing back. That's what I made my trade as at Wolves. I'm a top wing back. And the last 3 or 4 weeks, he's become a top player. And I think Doherty does have a future playing in that role. I think the left back, when Reguilon comes in, they've got Sessegnon. He's got options there. I think it's the spine down the middle of the pitch with the centre midfield and the centre halves that they need.
You talk about Doherty, so there's no need, do you think, for Spurs to go and get Adama Traore, that's been linked to Spurs for quite a while now?
Well, I think they've had a bid, today or yesterday, if you believe what you read in the press. I think he's a player that would add value to any team. I think he gives you that excitement going forward, his pace, he's finally getting a little bit of end product with it. Defensively wise, you'd maybe question him. If you put him in the Chelsea team as a wing back, I think defensively, you look at their back 3 that Chelsea would have, you wouldn't mind him bombing on, and what you would lose defensively you could cover and you could cope with. In the Spurs team, I'd worry about him defensively. I think I'd play him not as a right wing back, I'd play him higher up the field.
Oh, because the idea has always suggested that he's going to be converted to a right wing back, the same way Conte did with Victor Moses really at Chelsea.
Yeah, I can see why he's thinking that. I mean, he's an exciting player. He's someone I've always liked. I still think there's a good player in there to come out. But time's ticking on his career. You know, he does need to improve his end product, but he's so dangerous. And I think they do need a bit of guile, and also a bit of physicality at wide. You know, Reguilon, Sessegnon, they're okay, but you know, you need someone. Doherty's okay. You need someone who can drive with the ball.